Preston Ebner checking in for Smith. Ebner split wide left. Chapin looking up top. He's looking for Ebner. Ebner's open. He has it. Touchdown Bears. A 61-yard score.
This is the Sikkim 365 Baylor pregame show, live from the Big 12 Championship. Presented by Coach's Triple X Smoke.
Option look, Sanders keeps it, makes a cut, first down, still running. Spencer Sanders all the way to the house. A crucial touchdown for Oklahoma State to fight back 37 yards.
Our coverage of the Big 12 Championship is also brought to you by Ideal MRI, Edward Jones Investments, and agents Ben Erlinson, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott.
Smith to the air. Blitz coming. Ball's down. Baylor recovers. You could see it coming off the edge untouched. And Smith was absolutely crunched. It was the corner blitz. Raleigh Tejada.
Southwest Sports Medicine, the Willis Law Firm, American Bank, Pioneer Steel and Pipe, Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Genco Federal Credit Union, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
Third and goal. Here's Chapin into the end zone, and how about that swagger? Another touchdown pass for Chapin. Ben Sims on the receiving end of this one.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Well, good morning from AT&T Stadium, home of the Cowboys, but home of many huge events, from rock concerts to whatever else, and including, of course, the greatness of college football. And today we'll decide, inside this gorgeous facility, the Big 12 Championship between Oklahoma State and Baylor. The Cowboys beat Baylor back in early October, 24-14. Kickoff at just after 11 o'clock, and we'll take you to 10:30. David Smoke with Craig Smoke to my left, Paul Catalina to my right behind the camera, Hayden Bumpus, who had a late night with a high school game. Congratulations to Marlon. Congratulations to Lorena. Congratulations to China Spring and Mart for moving into the semifinal rounds in high school football from the Central Texas area. Jack McKenzie is here down below, and also it's Armstrong Sims who runs the mothership. We do not know the status of Baylor quarterback Gary Bohannon, but we'll find out. He warmed up last week before their game with Texas Tech was no-go, and we're not expecting him to play today against the Cowboys in a rematch. So, last night, Utah bludgeoned Oregon to win the Pac-12 title. UT San Antonio won in a shootout, the Conference USA. And today, boys, evidence on who else not only wins conference championships, who can secure, who can seal, and who can maybe jump in to the college football playoffs and the Final Four.
Depending on who you are, this could be the most or least satisfying championship Saturday ever, because there are some teams in this thing that have never even sniffed it before, or have gotten reasons not to be in it, and it could be pure chaos, or it could go chalk, and we could just be saying like, well, that's exactly what we thought was going to happen.
All right, so Craig, your thoughts again? What Paul said. Baylor's their chances are very, very slim. They just need to go out and win a football game.
Slim as far as what, the playoff?
Yeah,
I mean, who cares about the playoff? I mean, screw the playoff. I mean, I know that's what people want and that's the ultimate goal. But man, if they don't win today, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, that's everything you want is only doable with a win. So if you want to talk Big 12 Big 12 championship, you want to talk playoff potential, you want to talk bowl game, whatever. It's all going to be, taking place right behind us here in a little less than an hour. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big opportunity for Oklahoma State. They win. They're about as much of a guarantee as you would think to get into the playoff. But, yeah, there's a lot riding on this game for both teams.
Well, there's no question that last time they met, I think it was October 2nd up in Stillwater, I remember following that game or two, T.J. Franklin, defensive lineman from Temple High School in Central Texas, Baylor defensive lineman, said that the team kind of learned something from that game, and then they went on a nice little run. Then, of course, they forgot what they learned when they were kind of defensively embarrassed by Chandler Morris and TCU up in Fort Worth, and then they bounced back and, of course, kept their streak. They've won 3 in a row. Oklahoma, Kansas State last week against Texas Tech. I would also think, even though it was 24-14 Oklahoma State, and even though the game at one point with 12 minutes to go was 17-14 Oklahoma State, that Baylor physically, a team that's very proud of who they are physically, mentally, probably had part of their, I guess, pride, ego, bruised a little bit the way they lost that game against Oklahoma State. Warren had 36 carries, had a big game, domination on the running game, up front as well. I would think that has been a motivation this week as well.
I mean, I would sure hope so, but I don't really know that you need motivation from the last go-around to be motivated for the Big 12 title. But I think if you want some extra motivation, then sure, pop on that tape from Stillwater and how you got embarrassed when it was all said and done because you got dominated for almost 3 full quarters, and then you played a little bit and actually gave yourself a chance, which made that loss just worse because if you had played even a little bit better for outside of like a 10-minute period from the late third to the mid-fourth quarter, then you win that game. You win that game. So they played below average for their standard for about 3 quarters in that last game. And they do that today. They're not only going to get beat, they might get blown out. And I know Oklahoma State's not super explosive or anything like that, but I just feel like this is a momentum game. We've seen, a couple years back with Baylor and Oklahoma, that was a game of momentum and swings and all that. So I expect that today, and I expect Oklahoma will be very confident Oklahoma State will be very confident because of that last meeting. And I think Baylor should be confident because they realized they didn't play very well at all, and they were on the road, and they played plenty of games in this building right here.
Yeah,
I mean they have. So there's a lot to get yourself excited over if you're Baylor and get motivated for.
Hey, one of the things I'm curious, I saw our buddy Ricky Thompson as I was getting my credential today, and I said, what I'm curious about is Dave Aranda coaching against somebody the second time. He's such a cerebral dude, and I'm sure that because of the way that game went down, there's been some things gnawing at him. Like particularly, I'm not just talking about overall things, like the overall sluggishness of the way that they kind of rolled out there, or the way that the crowd certainly affected the coaching staff. He even said that. But it's just there's probably 10 plays in that game that he thinks about and goes, well, if this one, we'll do this one differently and that one differently. He's such a scientist when it comes to the X's and O's of things. I'm curious to see how he takes that first game and runs it through for the second go-around.
And also with Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, because they did nothing except the long run from Abram Smith. They didn't take advantage of 3 turnovers. One was at the Oklahoma State 36, and they went backwards. We hear about how they didn't play well. We also have to give Oklahoma State credit. They took advantage, of course, of the environment. They were fired up. They're damn good. I mean, they've basically all but run the table except the loss to Iowa State up in Ames. So this is a game where both teams are, even though at times Baylor has sputtered because of how they've won, they dominated, not the scoreboard, but they dominated the game against Oklahoma and ended up winning by a couple of scores. And then it was kind of a street fight with Kansas State. And, of course, last week they really did not look like you expect them to look against Texas Tech. And who knows, maybe it was the illness. Maybe it was, I don't know. Maybe Texas Tech just played a damn good game closing out. That was their bowl game in many ways. 2 plays I think about this year with Baylor, and they're not plays of wins or big plays that help win a game. Matt Jones and his unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Oklahoma State late in the game, and also the Gary Bohannon pick against TCU. Who knows? Not that that means you win if those plays don't happen. Who knows where Baylor would be right now? But at the end of that game with Oklahoma State, Baylor had an opportunity. Matt Jones makes a dumb decision. And, of course, Oklahoma State keeps the ball. They go in and seal the game and win it 24-14.
On Matt Jones, I don't know. That one's probably more of a toss-up. I think if Gary Bohannon doesn't throw a pick,
they win that game.
They're going to win that game because that drive was going doot down the field, and they were finally playing like they were supposed to against that TCU defense. And then he throws that pick, and everything else that happened before just got erased.
Everything else today. Baylor opens it up with Oklahoma State just after 11 o'clock is the kick for the Big 12 championship. There's a couple of games that don't get much credit, but they are still conference championship games in the Mountain West at 2 o'clock Central, Utah State and San Diego State. They're in the top 25. And then Sun Belt. You have University of Louisiana, Billy Napier's last game before he heads to Florida, and Appalachian State at 2:30. And then the one, of course, that gets a lot of attention, the SEC Championship, top-ranked and pretty much right now the undisputed best team in the country. We'll figure that out eventually, and maybe even today, Georgia against Alabama. Houston and Cincinnati, a couple of future Big 12 teams, also kick off the American title game at 3 o'clock. Later tonight, Michigan, Iowa State. Michigan, Iowa in the Big Ten at 7, and ACC, Wake Forest, and Pittsburgh. We will hear from Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlsby today. He'll join us on this pregame show today at 9:40. All right, so we've discussed the game. It's like, Craig, you've said this many times, we get the game day. Paul, you as well, and all of us have. You can digest it. You can discuss it. You can think about it. You can prognosticate. You can guess. You can predict whatever else. But one thing we know, Baylor has to run the ball better if they can. And if they do get turnovers and create turnovers, and Spencer Sanders on occasion will give you those turnovers, you must take advantage of both sides. Those are two things that are critical. They lost the time of possession, they lost the field position, and they lost the game by 10.
Yeah, well, I mean, they just – I don't think Oklahoma State's a team that you can not take it – I mean, clearly you can't not take advantage of your opportunities. Like, you can't give them back stuff. You can't get something from them and then not capitalize. If you don't, I mean, it's almost like two possessions.
It's hard enough to score against them when things are normal.
Yeah, so they're – like you said, they're really hard to score against. So if they give you a turnover and you don't give it back, it's almost like you gave them two extra possessions because they're that good.
You know, I'll say this. Oklahoma State's got a really good defense. They're one of the best in the country. So does Baylor. Baylor's got a really damn good defense, too. And I think Oklahoma State, I mean, Spencer Sanders is good. Jalen Warren's really good. Tay Martin is probably the guy that's not getting talked about nearly enough in this game. And he's the one, of those three, I worry about the most, quite frankly. But Baylor's pretty good on defense. So I think that as much as we talk about Oklahoma State and like, God, how can Baylor score? I mean, why are they not saying that in Stillwater? How do they go about it? Because
I know. Oklahoma State week in and week out has been more consistent with their defense.
And I get that, but this is any given Saturday.
Sure
this is a one-off. Yeah. And it's not like this is a Baylor team that's like the old version of, well, if they don't score 50, then they're screwed.
Right.
They can score 10 and still win this game, just like Oklahoma State can. So it's going to be a battle of the defenses. Which one gives up the big plays? Which one gets the turnovers? Which one shuts down the running game? Which one, avoids penalties? That's to me the deal. Is the defenses, as much as the offenses get the praise and also the spotlight, the two best units on this field today will be the two defenses, and that's not even a question.
Yeah, and of course, then you look at both of them when it comes to special teams. In Baylor, Treston Ebner, special teams return man in the Big 12 back-to-back years. He was an All-American at that last year. Last time they played, who had the stat about Treston Ebner? You did?
I mean, I've said it a few times. 8 carries, 0 yards, had no receptions. I don't remember what he did in the return game because obviously there wasn't a lot to remember, or maybe it's just my bad memory. But, no, he was a non-factor in the first game for the most part. Abram Smith had the hardest 97 yards that you'll see, and half of that was off of one run. So, that was kind of a little bit misleading in some ways of his overall performance, but still impressive to get 97 on this Cowboys defense. But, yeah, Treston Ebner was a complete non-factor, and he can't be that today. He's too talented and athletic and too much a part of this offense and what they do. Not that he's like somebody that they have to rely on, but he's somebody that he's not, in the game and making plays and being active, then you just wonder, like, what in the world is going on? Like, he has to be. He's probably their, besides Abram Smith, he's their second best player on offense. And then I think you could go like Tyquan and Ben Sims and whoever. But, Treston's a dude, and he was nothing in that first game.
And last week they got him unloosed. They got him unleashed early against Texas Tech with a couple of deep passes.
Well, and maybe getting him loose on special teams too would help. But I don't know. Well, special teams, maybe if you go last week, both teams had trouble in Bedlam with special teams. But it would concern me at Oklahoma State that now they've probably worked on it a little bit this week, so it doesn't happen again.
In a game like this, which is truly like a turf war. Two gangs, literally a turf war. Every single yard matters. Now, if this gets into what Oklahoma and Oklahoma State were last week, 37-33, who knows? But this is one of those that every yard of coverage you can prevent and every yard of return you can get matters. And that's why the hidden yardage, which is always important, but hidden yardage, which is return yardage, block punts, punt returns, things like that, will be critical. Interception returns, if you get some of those, will be huge in this game. It is it's like playing a game of Monopoly. You know, you got to gather real estate in this game. All right, Bob Bowlsby will join us, Big 12 commissioner, today at 9:40. We're going to hear from Baylor head coach Dave Aranda from earlier this week, and also take your calls and text messages, but we'll do that after our segment with Bob Bowlsby. Paul Catalina and Craig Smoke, Hayden Bumpus, Jack McKenzie, Armstrong Sims, and thanks to all of the sponsors that allow us to be a part of this pregame so we can be a part of it with you, our family of Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. We're back from AT&T Stadium in Arlington.
Masters of barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads, crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer, or order Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary, or Coach's margaritas and mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco, and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
The 2021 Ram brand just received first place in the prestigious J.D. Power's Initial Quality. The Dodge brand finished second to Ram, and the 2021 Jeep Gladiator is rated first among all mid-sized trucks. The Big Finish sales event, only at Allen Samuels, 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
American Bank has been serving Waco since 1952, and we're just getting started. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Over the past few years, we've been busy investing in new technology to give you the best banking experience possible. We've also expanded our downtown branch and built 2 state-of-the-art buildings at our Woodway and Bellmead locations. With bright open lobbies, plus fast, personal, interactive teller machines, everyone in Waco is now just minutes away from face-to-face banking. Visit us today and see how we're invested in serving you at American Bank. Member FDIC.
This is the Sikkim 365 Baylor pregame show, live from the Big 12 Championship. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlsby today will join us live at 9:40. After that, conversation with Baylor football coach Dave Aranda. Calls if you want at 254, and we would love to hear your thoughts about this specific game or what is the most important part of your day today in college football's championship day, or even last night if you're a Utah fan. The chat room. I'm going to read some of these guys from Marshall Burns, who starts us off today. What a great day to Sikkim. Let's go Baylor. From Common Sense, ESPN has been dogging Baylor all morning. Can't wait to turn that crap off for a damn good show on Sikkim 365. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. And I don't know. I think that this is the game where, of all the championship games being played, this is the one that people are just kind of like moving past. I have seen some ESPN analysts give Baylor some love and give them a chance in this game, but I do think that there's a lot more discussion about some others being upset potential games than this one right here. I think people think that Baylor can win this game, but I don't think they're really believing that Baylor will win this game. And you know what? They can absolutely win this game. And I'm not sure what happens either. I mean, none of us are really, but I feel good about their chances. I think they're going to play a great game today.
Well, I picked them. I picked Baylor to win the game, and I, like I said yesterday on the show, I didn't have any particular reason for that other than I just had a feeling, because I do think these two teams are very evenly matched. I don't think that there's one thing you can tell me about either one that is like, well, that's way better. Like this one thing is going to tilt the scales.
It wasn't like it was 33-6.
I was just about to say that, because when you say like, oh, Oklahoma State beat them before, well, no, it's not like it was 33-6 or it was 50-7, and you've got, this is not a conference that has one team that's so much better than all the rest, which we might see in the SEC or the Big Ten today, where one team is maybe head and shoulders above everybody else. This is a conference that is pretty well even for most of it. You've got three teams that were towards the top in Oklahoma State, Baylor, and Oklahoma, but really, the distance between them is pretty negligible when you get down to it.
And another thing I've heard at times this week is, well, they had 3 interceptions. I mean, if not for that, then that game's a blowout. And, that's the only reason that game was close. I've seen that a couple of times. Well, I mean, if you take away turnovers from teams' entire games, guess what? Baylor's not playing for Big 12 title if we're just going to wipe away turnovers, because that's kind of important. I mean, let's say we play that game with Oklahoma State. Well, what if this didn't happen? Well, then you're not in this game either. So, I mean, that's a dumb game to play. The turnovers happen because Baylor helped create them, and Spencer Sanders turning it over is part of the identity of Oklahoma State football. So that is who they are, is him turning the football over at times and then him being brilliant at other times. So, you can take out those interceptions and say that Oklahoma State was more dominant they looked, and I'd say, okay, take those out and then look at the way that Baylor played and you can do the same thing. I mean,
well, the one thing about Sanders has been the difference with him this year. He has turned it over on occasion. Last week it was the muff punt, both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State with 2 easy scores. But Spencer Sanders late in the game has been nails. And that's where he has improved, and actually, of course, the complementary football that they play make. Well, but it's like saying, well, we had over 100 yards more total offense, or that you hear that from fans, whoever, analysts, and yet the other team ran back a kick 100 yards. I think yards counts.
I think the biggest thing with Spencer Sanders is, yes, you're right, he's been clutch, and I wouldn't want him having the ball in his hands late in the game against or later on today, although I have a lot of faith in the Baylor defense. That's just when he does seem to strike, but Spencer Sanders has been a very up-and-down quarterback, and I think the thing for them this year is that it doesn't matter what he does, really. Like, he can throw 3 interceptions, and they don't have any points scored on them. That's not him. That's that incredible defense, is that they're good enough defensively on offense when they need to be, like a Jalen Warren or a Tay Martin, that he can have a bunch of bad plays and it doesn't cost them anything. And that's the key, is because if it was maybe a couple years ago and he throws 3 picks against Baylor, they're probably losing that game, right? I mean, they're going to lose that game. But this time around, that defense is it's so nasty that it's hard to do.
From Donnie Hand, who's a huge Oklahoma State fan, as are many of you that watch Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports since all hell broke loose in late July with Texas OU in the SEC. Go damn Pokes. From Donnie, I stopped watching that junk ESPN 5 years ago. From Gary, that's about Mario Cristobal. We'll get to that in a little bit. Dylan Vance, let's go Oklahoma State. Biscuits and Gravy is at the Cartel Taco tailgating scene outside the stadium with Brian Etheridge and Ashley and Blake Blackmar.
There's two different ones.
What?
There's Taco Cartel.
We're everywhere.
Well, yeah, we're everywhere. And then there's the Blake Blackmar, Brian
That's
Etheridge.
the one with all the meat.
The meat
That's
mafia.
the one that's going to clog your arteries.
Yeah.
This is from Marquez Maria, I believe it is, and I hope Mariah. Let's go Baylor, bring home the Big 12 championship. Mike Colazzi, great game coming up. From Christian Richard. I don't even think College Game Day realizes Gary Bohannon is injured. From Dylan, Oklahoma State has the better defense. Welcome to the live chat. Again, thank you for all of that. So there's a lot of that going on. We appreciate it. Now,
I think they have the better defense, but I don't think it's again, like I said earlier, it's not a situation where the other one's not very good either. Though it's Oklahoma State's got a great defense. Baylor's got a very good defense. So I think that they do have that edge. They would have the edge. I mean, in pretty much every area other than maybe special teams. I mean, they do, and in the offense and defensive areas, you'd give Oklahoma State the edge. But that defense. I mean, that's why they're here. They're not here because of Spencer Sanders necessarily. I mean, you could say yes, they're here in part because of him, in part because of Tay Martin and Jalen Warren and whoever, but they're mostly here because of Jim Knowles and his defense. That's their calling card.
But Spencer Sanders was, from start to finish, the best quarterback in the Big 12, right?
Yeah, and he didn't have a lot of competition.
No, but he was.
He was.
Yeah.
He was.
You know what Spencer Sanders was this year? He was consistently who he was.
Yeah.
And he wasn't, it wasn't, you didn't get the big ebb and flows like we saw last year for him, or 2 years ago when Spencer Sanders played. What was, oh my God, he's unbelievable and he's the next thing in the conference. Or what is this guy doing with the football today? It was consistent. And that's pretty brilliant on Mike Gundy and the coaching staff going, look, we probably can't get this guy to be the superstar that we wanted to be because he's got some limitations when it comes to taking care of the ball. So what if we just dialed him back a little bit and put a little less pressure off of him?
Not so much bus driver. Let him be who he is, but calm him down.
But yeah, run the ball with the running backs more. Yeah. Really let him do that thing. I'm very impressed with what Mike Gundy has done this year. And Mike Gundy has never been a guy who's really impressed me. He's always been kind of just a guy to me. But I'm very impressed with what they've done offensively as well as defensively, where they downshifted to make sure that they played completely complementary football with that defense.
Ralph Wormy, the third, needs somebody to tell me who I'm cheering for today. Ralph, whatever color's closest to you right now that's either orange or blue, or green, excuse me, duh. That's who you cheer for, I guess. Jerry, Bear Time. Gary, go Pokes. Christian, will be interesting. Both teams have actually gotten better since they played each other, minus the TCU anomaly for Baylor. Baylor has gotten much better against the run. Oklahoma State on offense, of course, is now healthy as well.
Yeah, that's one thing. They did not have a healthy group of receivers in the first meeting, and I think their O-line's gotten better. But certainly, that was an area that when this game first happened, you were wondering if they were almost a little bit one-dimensional, that it was really just Sanders and Warren, and that's all you really had to worry about. But now, I mentioned Tay Martin.
They've always had great receivers, though, haven't they?
They've got a bunch of pretty good receivers. They don't have a dude. They don't have Des Bryant, or
what was the guy's name? Blanchard?
Blackman,
yeah.
They don't have Justin Blackman, but they do have a bunch of really good dudes, and they're going to be. I mean, that's probably. I mean, more than Spencer Sanders or Jalen Warren, I'm worried about Oklahoma State's wide receivers against this Baylor secondary.
Well, and that's where you get the Baylor defense, is beating them deep and then getting into scoring position or into the plus territory. Because if you're deciding that, look, we're going to run the ball 5 times in a row with this Baylor defense and get across the 50, you're probably not going to do that. You're not going to really. You're going to have to hit something 15, 18,
which
25 yards.
But
it happened. I mean, if you go back to if you even look at some of the games they dominated physically, like BYU, they knocked them around pretty good, but BYU was able to keep Baylor nervous by hitting them deep a couple times.
As did Texas Tech last week with blown coverage, and then the great call as well.
But yeah, Tay Martin didn't play in the last game, if I remember correctly. He was one of the ones that didn't play. He's been having a great season since he came back from injury, and Baylor's second of the defense, the secondary is what concerns you the most.
Because they come at you, and they remember they couldn't develop a pass rush early on without bringing everybody or bringing different angles, so that's going to open you up. But Walcott is back. He did not play in the second half.
Yeah.
Against Texas Tech, and his back.
Targeting, right?
Yeah.
So
that's big because he became a starting corner.
Yeah.
I mean, he Riley Tejada has been involved all the way.
Huge play last week.
Had a huge play last week, but I mean, Walcott had kind of started to move his way in there, and so losing him last week, that was a big blow.
Plus, they didn't play with Barnes.
Yeah, and
Morgan.
And look, it doesn't to me. Secondary now becomes secondary, and yes, I did mean the pun, because Terrell Bernard's back in this game, and that's a huge X factor for the Baylor defense. He didn't play in that last one, and you're talking about the first game he started against Oklahoma State.
Stoop and score
was one of the best games I've ever seen an individual defensive player have.
All right, here's some more chat. Bob Bowlsby at 9:40, Dave Aranda at about 10 o'clock today. From Suzanne Devine, Severide, on the way, let's go BU. From G. Bethel, I hope I'm getting these names right. Sorry if I'm not. Talk to a Notre Dame fan. They're rooting for Baylor for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
From Donnie Ham.
I mean, that's the thing is you were asking earlier about, or you were saying something earlier about the, just the chaos. Well, it all starts here. I mean, like, if the chaos is going to start, it can start right here and then just set the table for the rest of the day. Now, if Oklahoma State wins this game and, wins it convincingly, then they're going to be in the playoff, and then maybe everything else goes chalk. But if you want a chaotic Saturday, this is the place for it to start.
Richard, Chris, again, this is from Donnie. Pokes are still pretty banged up, though. Our starting center is not playing today. Siaka Ika may end up being a game changer. Let's see.
He needs to be. This is the game. This is the game for the game changers to be game changers. So Ika and company up there up front. I mean, he's been a very good addition for them this year. It was all Big 12 and all that. So, yeah, he's going to be a huge part of today's game, and that is of interest. I didn't know that about the Oklahoma State Center.
Yeah, biscuits and gravy. There's a couple of hundred Bear fans at Cartel Taco, our hotel where Craig and I stayed last night. The Holiday Inn Express used to be the old Wingate. It was pretty much flooded with all Oklahoma State colors. Our fan bases both have sold their allotment. And you'll start to see them filtering into the stadium behind us today at AT&T Stadium.
This is from yesterday, late at night on the text line. Hi, I just woke up from a 3-month-long coma, and the first thing I got to ask was, who do you got in the game? Matt Campbell Cyclones or Lincoln Riley Sooners?
It's no longer Lincoln Riley Sooners, first of all, and it's not either one. Oklahoma and Iowa State did not make it. They pushed for it. It was really
one of them did.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're right. Oklahoma was down to the last second in possibly playing today and knocking Baylor out of this picture, and we would be watching the game most likely ourselves at home. All right, Bob Bowlsby at 9:40. Thanks for all the chats as well. When we come back, the commissioner of the Big 12, Bob Bowlsby, this is a great day for him. Not only is his conference playing the championship, but 2 of the remaining 8 teams are playing in the championship, and you know that the last few days for him, the last few weeks for him, when the Big 12 almost died and people predicted it had, well, it's been a pretty good run. Even though there are some that still don't like him, even though some are still sour about 14 if you're a Baylor fan or TCU fan or whoever else. Bob Bowlsby joins us next. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports for the Big 12 championship game in Arlington, Texas.
When it comes to me and my money, I know the way it should be. I need a partner I can count on. That's Genco and me.
Genco has extended their offer till the end of the year. Refinance your vehicle today at Genco with rates as low as 1.69% for 48 months. And have 90 days of no payments. Refinancing can lower your payment, so you pay less for your car. Apply online and get an additional 0.1% off our already low rate. You can't pass on rates this low and make no payments for 90 days. For more information, go to GencoFCU.org.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice, subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
They're people I trust. They treat me like family. My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Jay from Pickup Outfitters here with your holiday gift-giving guide. So it seems the air fryer is an, air quotes, hot Christmas gift this year. An air fryer? Come on, really? First, an air fryer is not a real fryer. It has no grease. It's a mini convection oven. And you probably already have one of those in your house. So you're just wasting money on something that's not even real. You know what is real? A grill guard. It's made of real steel and it protects the truck of someone you love. And you can get one for that special person on your Christmas list at Pickup Outfitters. So avoid common Christmas gift mistakes like house slippers, a beard, nose, ear, hair, and eyebrow trimmer. Or a man purse? You better not. Give a Christmas gift that says, I love you. A grill guard, a toolbox, running boards, and other great gifts at Pickup Outfitters. You can even get a gift certificate to let them pick out whatever they want. Pickup Outfitters is the Christmas gift headquarters. 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco.
This is the Sikkim 365 Baylor pregame show, live from the Big 12 Championship. Call us on the BetUS hotline, 254-339-1122.
All right, here we go inside AT&T Stadium. We're in what they call radio booth number 4, and you can see AT&T Stadium behind us, getting ready for Baylor and Oklahoma State just after 11 o'clock for the Big 12 Championship. And what a year it's been for Mike Gundy and the Cowboys, and also for Baylor and head coach Dave Aranda. We are now joined by Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlsby on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Bob, thank you very much on a very busy day, which kind of like it's the Big 12's day. I know other conferences are playing their championship games, but how proud are you of where the conference is today compared to back in the early part of the summer?
Well, I was very proud of our conference, even in the early summer. We had some surprising things happen, and we worked our way through them. But I think we've added good members. We conducted a great competition during the course of the fall. The Bears played well. Oklahoma State played well, and they both deserve to be here in the championship game.
Does today, is it any more special that 2 of the 8 remaining teams are in this game?
Well, I think it's a representation that we are a good conference top to bottom. I've always said we had the best depth in all of college athletics, and it's not just in football, but other sports as well. And I think this is a demonstration of that. We've played very well, and as I say, the teams that are here have earned it. They didn't get here by happenstance. They earned it by beating the people that are also in our league, and so. We couldn't be more excited, and I think it speaks to the positive future that we have ahead of us.
What's it like to go from maybe you're hanging out a for sale sign on the conference to, hey, are you guys hiring? We'd like to apply, because that's what it's been like.
Well, we've certainly been happy about the schools that we've added. They're great universities. They have great athletic traditions. They have broad-based programs, and so. We feel good about what's occurred in the fall, and we were surprised. There isn't any other way to say it by the departures or the forecast departures. And so, you don't have a chance to choose your controversies most of the time. And we just went on and did what we thought we needed to do to strengthen our league. And I think, you look at a 4th-ranked Cincinnati and a 12th-ranked BYU and a 17th or 18th ranked Houston and a UCF program that's had a couple of undefeated seasons in recent years. We just feel very bullish, particularly about football in the future, and to a large extent, every sport that we offer. I think we're going to be in 3 time zones. We're going to be back to 12 eventually, although we expect to play with 14 for a while. And so, it's a time of change, but I'm not sure there's anybody that manages change better than we do. There's been lots of experience at it. And so here we are again, changing compositions, but the alignment we'll have coming out of the coming years will be every bit as competitive nationally as we've been in the past.
Commissioner, Mike Gundy's been around a long time at this point. I mean, he's like the veteran of veterans in the Big 12. Dave Aranda is still kind of a newer coach, just in his 2nd year, and obviously last year was a bit strange. What have been your impressions of Dave Aranda, and whether they be, from the outside looking in or interactions you've had? Just what have you thought of what he's done at Baylor through a little less than 2 years?
Well, I think from the outside looking in, I probably have the same respect for him that everybody else does. I think it's remarkable the progress he's made and his team has made during these last 2 seasons, especially a year ago when he didn't get to have any preseason camp and didn't get to have spring ball. And, it was just a very difficult thing to transition to a new job with a new program in a new town and not be able to, get to know your kids and be around them like you want to. And so from that standpoint, I think I share the admiration that everybody has for Dave and the job he has done at Baylor. And I think, most would say, gee, we think he's ahead of schedule in terms of the program. From a personal standpoint, I have really enjoyed getting to know Dave and have had several nice conversations with him over time. And including pregame at the time when most coaches really don't want to spend much time talking, and I realize that, and so avoid any long conversations. But Dave is a guy that's got tremendous depth. There isn't any doubt about that. He's already made a tremendous impact on the kids and the team culture, and I just think that you see coaches moving around from place to place all the time. And I just think Dave Aranda is a wonderful fit at Baylor.
Bob, but the announcement about the college football playoff expansion was back during the summer. I saw where Commissioner Kliakoff of the Pac-12 said it might have been a mistake, or said it was a mistake by even announcing it. Did you ever think you would still be where you are with that today? And how frustrated are you that has not been wrapped up?
Well, I expected that we would finish our work on it before now, and I'd admit to some frustration. But these are complex issues. They're very difficult. There are 11 of us in the room, and frankly, we don't all agree on everything because we're not all similarly situated, and so there are just things we need to work our way through. And I think it might have been easy to throw up our hands and say, we can't get this done. Let's just leave it at 4. But I think everybody felt like we have made recent progress, and we've made progress at each of the meetings we've had. As to whether or not it's a mistake to have announced the plan, I disagree with that. But we were asked as a subcommittee to go forth and try and make a recommendation, and that's what we did. We made a recommendation to the board, and it was known publicly because once 11 commissioners and Jack Swarbrick and 11 presidents get together, the chances of keeping it quiet are pretty slim. So we were going to make a report to them, and we did that, and we did it in a public way because we expected that it would get leaked even if we didn't. So, it's easy to criticize after the fact, but we think we did a very thorough job of vetting the possibilities, and I continue to believe that 12 is the best format for college football. I think it's the best for the regular season. I think it gives the best access. It allows championship game losers to still be in the playoff. It allows people to go out and schedule and not worry about losing one game and being eliminated from the playoffs. So I just think there's a lot that's right about it. But not everybody agrees with that identically, and so we have to work our way through those things. And we've agreed that we're going to try and do that.
How much of it was slowed or changed by the conference landscape drastically shifting right after you announced that you guys were working on a 12-team playoff?
I don't know that it has been primary in our discussions. I think everybody's aware of it and aware that there's been a trickle down, and so it's not an insignificant factor, but it's also hasn't been driving the conversations.
Commissioner, the league obviously lost Lincoln Riley to USC. He bolts from Oklahoma last weekend. What have you made of just this coaching carousel and just seeing the earlier firings? Joey McGuire at Baylor's the head coach at Texas Tech with like 5 weeks left in the season, even though he's not coaching. I mean, just what have you made of this coaching carousel in particular, and what are your thoughts on the carousel moving forward?
Well, the mid-year dismissals and departures, I'm not a fan of that because I think generally it's hard on the team members. But there may be times when a coach or a coaching staff has lost the team, and the team would like a change, and the coach would like a change, and so sometimes that can make some sense. But generally speaking, I think those things are better done closer to the end of the year. And among probably the more troubling aspects of it are just the extraordinary amounts of money that are being thrown at the pursuit of success. And it's really, I've been hearing for 30 years that the model is unsustainable. And, I think what's been proven is that people come up with the money to try and sustain it, but I think you have to question the motivation behind it and the thinking behind it, because it's where does it stop? Are we headed for a $25 million a year college football coach? I mean, we have some $15 million guys right now, and I wonder to myself where that's all going to stop, and the impact that it has on the rest of the athletics program. And so there are some troubling signs, but then the pursuit of the Holy Grail is compelling. Every institution wants to compete at the highest possible levels, and I guess they've demonstrated that money's not going to be an impediment to that.
Bob, you have a TV contract that runs to the summer of 2025, but obviously there's a lot of change coming up with your conference. It depends on who and when Texas and Oklahoma leave, and of course you have the incoming 4 and maybe even the possibility of a Chapter 2. Have other networks now been in touch with you in the Big 12 about being the next TV network for you?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into talking about those things. We aren't in any serious negotiations at this point in time, and the value of those packages is always the same. It's only worth what somebody will pay you for it. And so we have an opportunity in March of 2024 to begin to talk about those things. And we constantly have relationships in the media business, and we talk to folks all the time. I'm not going to get into any of the specifics of what we may or may not do with regard to our media contracts.
How much did you yourself take what happened in late July personally, and how much did it take you to get back up off the canvas? And now it seems like you have not a swagger, but you have this confidence. Not that you didn't have it before, but you have brought this conference back from what could yet been another time where they were dead.
Well, it's never been about me, David. It was a blow because Chris Del Conte and Joe Castiglione are longtime friends and colleagues, and so to say there wasn't some disappointment would be less than forthright. But you have to get over that. I mean, it isn't about personalities or personnel. It's about what's best for the 8 continuing members of our conference. And so that was the only thing I could pursue, was what was going to be best for the 8 of them. And I think the outcome we got was the very best we could do. We went out and, put it in the recruiting vernacular. We went after the 4 best athletes that we could find. And I think that the group that we've added is top flight. And, I think this football season demonstrates that.
Bob, do you feel like that whenever Texas and Oklahoma eventually leave, do you feel like that you're going to want to continue expanding even past what is right now what we call Chapter 1?
Yeah, I wouldn't take that off the table. We don't have any strategic objectives at the present time to get larger, but I certainly wouldn't foreclose on that possibility. And I think the other thing is that we may find out between now and whenever that other leagues are getting larger, and we need to get larger to go along with them. But we haven't put those things in place just yet. And I think in some ways we're in a transition period that where we need to let the game come to us just a little bit.
Commissioner, I don't know how often are you asked just about a game and not like the effects of the game or like the ramifications on the whole landscape? Like, what do you think, as somebody who's seen Oklahoma State and how great they've been all year, and Baylor's had a couple bumps in the road, but they've managed to find their way here? Just what do you think of the football game we're going to watch today?
Well, I think it's going to be a terrific football game. It's a very accomplished offense against a really established defense, and 2 good coaches, and a lot of kids that have invested. And there's a lot riding on the game. I mean, both teams have a legitimate chance to be mentioned in the playoff. Baylor's got a little bit harder path. They would need a little more help, but it's not unforeseen that they could be in the conversation. And Oklahoma State sits in the seat that nobody wants to be in, and that is, 5th in a 14 field. So they have something to prove as well. So I expect that this will be a terrific football game today. And as I say, both teams deserve to be here, and that's what you really want. You want when we made the decision to match our best team against our second best team, this is the kind of matchup that we wanted to have.
I know it's important to get a team in the playoff, I mean, whenever you can, but would it be a little bit more important, or is it a little different to have it be somebody different than the one team that's made it every time in Oklahoma?
Well, as I said earlier, I think I think we can make a really good case for the depth and the ability of our conference from top to bottom. Every team won at least a game in the conference this year. It's obvious from the games that Kansas played that they are being well coached, and that although it's Coach Leipold's first year, he gave some of our better teams some real trouble. So I just think the league is really good top to bottom. Oklahoma has been in the game consistently. But we've had Texas has been in, Iowa State's been in, TCU's been in, Baylor has been in. It's obvious that we've got good balance, we've got good coaches, and it's easy to forget how well we've competed in the postseason. We were 5-0 last year in the postseason. That says that not only do we compete well top to bottom, but we also compete well against the other conferences. So I feel very good about our football product, and I think today will be a good showcase for what that product means.
Bob, I have one more question. When all of everything changed in late July, everybody, it seemed the narrative was, oh my God, Texas and Oklahoma have all the leverage. Don't you have all the leverage because of contracts and legal and the fact that it's your conference and not, even though they're a part of it, don't you have all the leverage?
Well, I don't know if we have all the leverage, but I like our position.
Are you excited to watch Big 12 championship game number 2 after this one with Cincinnati and Houston?
Well, there are some ironies in all of this. Aren't there?
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, thank you. I know it's a busy morning. Good luck today. Thanks for your time. We appreciate your access.
Thanks for having me on.
That's Bob Bowlsby, Big 12 Commissioner. Very short answer to my question about who has all the leverage, but very, very direct and emphatic.
I don't think he needed to say much else. I think he said all that he needed to say.
Because that was initially oh, my God. And then now you can tell. And I know, and listen, I know if you're a Baylor fan, you're still angry about 14. If you're a TCU fan, you're probably about that. If you're
all right, look, man, here. I'm sorry. Go
ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, if people are still hung up on 7 years later, like that doesn't mean the guy's a bad guy 7 years later.
I was getting to a point. What I was saying is that because two teams seem to control everything in the conference, a lot of people are bitter about that from whatever happened in 14 compared to letting others run the conference rather than it being 10. Because when you went from 12 to 10, it was supposed to be everybody is one with an equal distribution of TV money, but it still never was. And I think there's still some that feel like that the commissioner and others could have done even more in making sure that it wasn't so top-heavy when it comes to who had the decision-making.
But I think when you look at, this is just looking at Texas and not even taking into account Oklahoma, looking at Texas and their sphere of influence, you're talking about 125 years of political clout. That just they don't just decide to not use that. And not like most of the time you'll hear us making fun of Texas. But if you have 125 years of political clout and you can knock it around to get your way, you're going to,
and you should if you can.
It's like having a Ferrari and then leaving it in the garage if you don't. You gotta.
We had Bob, if you'll remember, Craig, back to your point in 14, and he made it clear you can argue, you can be angry, you can be bitter, you can be pissed. But in 14, the votes to how they would decide who got in the college football playoff was not Bob Bowlsby's decision. It was the conference presidents and AD's decision on how they did that, and neither one of them got in. They didn't have a championship game, and that hurt them more than anything else as well. When we come back, Baylor football coach Dave Aranda, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Masters of barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads, crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer, or order Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary or Coach's margaritas and mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco, and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
Get an early start with the Big Finish sales event going on now at Allen Samuels with the new 2021 Ram 1500 Lone Star Quad Cab. Ram, the winner of the prestigious J.D. Power's Initial Quality. The 1500 Lone Star Quad Cab offers style and dependability for any job. It's the Big Finish sales event going on now at Allen Samuels, 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
This is the Sikkim 365 Baylor pregame show, live from the Big 12 Championship.
Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Masters of Barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including
what they're doing right now.
All right, I had a chance to sit down with Baylor head coach Dave Aranda, as I do every other Monday. He does a media session and then gives me probably about 12 to 15 minutes. On many things, and yes, I did bring up the fact that he has a commandment: don't let outside noise in the program or acknowledge it, and he's had to do that a little bit when people have asked him about the coaching situation, LSU or whoever else. I've asked him, and so others. Today at the media session, he was asked. Here's my conversation with Baylor head coach Dave Aranda.
Baylor football coach Dave Aranda with me on Sikkim 365 Radio. You're in the championship game. 10-2, Oklahoma State. I know you just answered some questions about Oklahoma State. What does it say about this program? Second time in 3 years, despite a coaching change. Not to mention what they've been done after other coaching changes with Coach Riles to Coach Rule to you. What does it say about Baylor football's resiliency?
Yeah, I think you could go even further out and just go and just Baylor Athletics or just Baylor University. I think, from that perspective, you're seeing people and you're valuing people, and people have a voice, and they're being valued, and I think that enables the better player to emerge when that's happening. I think there's plenty of examples of just our team particularly, but I guess my point is I see it happening throughout the landscape here at Baylor. But just kids that learning to trust, learning to own their story, not run away from maybe something that they're not proud of or they're not sure of, but kind of just coming to grips with it, accepting it, and then working to get better from it. I think when that happens, their feet are in the ground, they're looking at you in the eye, and what's funny is they start playing better on the grass as well, and so I see that happening throughout, and I think one of the things that makes Baylor special.
You said the word trust. I had somebody that is on staff tell me that he loves being at Baylor, not just because of Baylor. He loves how being with you, being with Dave Aranda, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like it to be like that. I think, I feel like we're still trying to build that. I feel like for me, just all of the trials and tribulations that come out there or that come about in college football. I think just trying to be real, man, and not take out stuff unnecessarily on people that have nothing to do with the angst or the anger or the whatever you're feeling. I think, I don't know, I've just been so many programs where it's just there's people that are throwing around unresolved trauma to other people, and everyone's walking around like that ain't happening. It's crazy, man. Yeah. And so I think to really be intentional about not being like that and seeing football as a way to be better. I think it takes a strong commitment to it, because I think we're raised to love the intensity of stuff, not the consistency of stuff. And I think, the way that we're trying to do it is consistency over that intensity. And I think it's, it takes a belief and a buy-in, and that takes time.
It didn't surprise me, but it almost blew me away when we asked you. I think someone asked you about, in fact, I brought up about the younger coaches that might be moving on, and you gave them the trust. You trusted them during the week, and when you're playing against a program that they're going to be working for. You're so unique with that.
I don't know. If we didn't do that, then it'd be like all the stuff that we're doing is like BS, And so I just think, when you go through it with those guys, and, a lot of respect for them, and I've seen their growth, and I've seen their heart, man, how much it means to them and how much they love, Baylor and the kids on this team, because they've been through a lot with them. And when you see them up early in the morning, or you see them late at night, having wars with the copier or the printer's not working, and they're doing all that, how much it means to them. And so, they're just trying to, they finally have their break, and they want to have one last ride with their team. And, unfortunately for them, it's versus, this particular team, but, you want what's best for them, especially when they go about their business the right way.
You talk about the opportunities for young coaches. What was it like when you told Caleb Collins, and I know he's been coaching the outside linebackers from almost immediately after Coach McGuire left. What was that like to see a young coach get that next level? You've been there before.
Yeah, he was way excited, and he's gonna get married here in a minute and start up his deal, and so I'm way happy for him. Caleb is someone that has got a heart of gold, that has got a real learner mindset, and wants to improve and wants to get better, and all of that matters, and he's always open to new ways and better ways, and he's a great teacher already. I think he's one of the better teachers probably on our staff, and I just think, I think the ceiling is going to be really high for him. I think, after all the excitement and everything, we talked about, hey man, this is, so now here's the levels where you can get better, and here's what you can do, and he's all about that. And so just his the mindset, the way it's hooked up is strong, and good things are going to happen to him.
You've coached in the Big Ten, you've coached in the SEC, you saw what defense is like in the SEC, although the scores are getting crazy in that conference like it used to be in the Big 12. Now you've been here for a couple of years, and we've seen the change. Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas State, others, TCU under Patterson until early this year. Defense, Oklahoma State. What's the difference between defense in this conference compared to what you saw in your time in the SEC?
I think in the SEC it was more, guys with a lot of stars, kind of simplifying stuff so they could just kind of do their stuff. I think it was a lot of that and matchups and that, whether it be front people, trying to, development of skill, get them on a mismatch, let them go. Don't do a bunch of stuff, you'll mess them up, let them do what they do. And then same with coverage guys, same principle. I think the difference here is there's still a fair amount of star guys that are doing the work, but there's more scheme, the twisting and the stunning and the gap exchanging and the pressure packages in this league are twice as much as the other one. And then I think coverage-wise, there's much more variation. The SEC was a lot of man, and we were a lot of man in that league. And this league is very little man and more of here's a shell. One play it's 3 deep, the next play it's 2 deep, the next play it's drop 8, and so it's much more of a chess match here than it was there.
You're going to be in another game. This is a grind. Everybody wants to be in another game. Now you're here. And Baylor's been through this before. What is it more of a physical or mental grind to get back up again and yet again? You want to be here. You're glad to be here, but which is more taxing this week?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you would like it to be, you would probably like it to be the physical piece if you had to choose, or if I had to choose. I think, coming from our last game versus Tech, and our performance and our prep into that, I think, we need to be on the rise from that game, and there needs to be some probably some frustration / anger / this ain't good enough going into this one. So I would like to see a bounce and a more realization of we're not here to play up and down to people. We're here to play our standard, and so to get back on it, And so I think from that perspective, our mindset should be we're going to need to demand it, that it's in a good spot. I think, I think just football in general, but college athletes more specifically, it's difficult, man, to keep the outside stuff from getting on the inside. And then I think it's, if you have them long enough, you can get it to where there's some sort of a filtering system of what's real and what's not. And I think, the better teams can do that, because now their standard is the standard regardless. And, we're not there yet. And so we're going to continue to pound away at that thing. But I think that will be something that eventually separates us. But for this one, we got to get back to the standard.
You have kind of a commandment, I don't know if you do, about outside noise getting in, and you've handled the questions about coaches, coaching jobs, etc. You've talked to me about it as well. If in fact you discuss it, does that admit you're allowing outside noise inside your program, which is a no-no?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I think the times that I've brought it up have been, well, it's already inside. They're already talking about it, so then I kind of bring it up. But I think, it's a tough position to be in, because I think you can say something and no one believes you. so it's like, it's tough. I think people, I've always been accustomed to not talking for a reason. Mm-hmm. This would kind of fall into one of those categories, but I think, it's difficult. I think people I think there's been enough people that have done things a certain type of way to where now there's a belief of this is how things are done. And then I think everyone else is kind of, is piled into that category, which, is unfortunate.
There's a PTSD among Baylor fans, but at the same time, you've mentioned this is a fit. Can you be who you are elsewhere? Or is this what you mean, that this place allows you to truly be who you always are?
Yeah, I think Baylor, there's definitely a Christian perspective and a even probably broader than that, just a belief that it's bigger than the sport, that the development of you as a human being and you becoming the best version of you is very important. And I think just that view of itself by itself is an off-ramp for me to talk about the things that I really value and believe. And I think if it's all about, the final destination, right, and it's all about the outcome and these, the belief in a greater power, your ability to transcend who you are now to who you want to be. If there wasn't those things being talked about at Baylor and it was just about, hey, we want to win this number of whatever, then I think, to me, it's not worth it. And so I think that, it's a great fit here. My favorite moments are when we're having discussions with leadership councils in our freshman class just on life and things outside of football. Just the teaching part of it is the part that I really enjoy the most. And so it's a great fit.
I'll wrap it up with this. Berenstein Bears. The Velveteen Rabbit was what you brought up to Joe Cladd. He even mentioned he's never had a coach bring that up before. Are you going to go on some sort of children's book tour? You can come up with some of the most amazing analogies at times.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's times where this is the truth, and there's times where I start to feel comfortable enough in my own skin where I think I'm kind of with the group, and then I'll say something, and pretty immediately it's I probably shouldn't have said that, man. I probably shouldn't. I can see the look, and it's yeah, that's why you don't really say a lot of stuff. And so
people love that.
Yeah, I know. I've always believed all that. I think I used to read that story, and so it always hit me. But it is true. I've talked about that with the team, and for me to bring that up with them, and there not to be smirking, at least to my face, or smirking, or jokes and all that, and for there to be feedback on how this relates to them and how they see it or don't see it, and all of it, I was way cool. And you just tell just the growth, because that was something I've always believed and held, but I wasn't going to bring it up last year or any point earlier in the year because we weren't there yet.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Baylor head coach Dave Aranda, Sikkim 365 Radio. All right, that's Dave Aranda from earlier today. A chance to visit with him one-on-one.
Hey there, it's Jay from Pickup Outfitters with a holiday public service announcement for all the wives and significant others out there looking for Christmas gift ideas for their man. They say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. At Pickup Outfitters, we say the way to a man's heart is through his truck. And there's no better Christmas gift for the man in your life than something for his truck. Would your man rather have a new bathrobe or bumper or a cool light bar, socks or a lift kit, a new wallet or new running boards? The answer seems pretty clear, doesn't it? Pickup Outfitters is your Christmas gift headquarters. Why get your man a hoodie when you can get him a slick new retractable bed cover? So don't waste money on a meat thermometer or sweatpants when you can get him a gift certificate for anything he wants for his truck. That's the way to get to a man's heart. Stop by Pickup Outfitters at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or check us out on the web at createacommotion.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
When it comes to me and my money, I know the way it should be. I need a partner I can count on. That's Genco and me.
Genco has extended their offer till the end of the year. Refinance your vehicle today at Genco with rates as low as 1.69% for 48 months. And have 90 days of no payments. Refinancing can lower your payment, so you pay less for your car. Apply online and get an additional 0.1% off our already low rate. You can't pass on rates this low and make no payments for 90 days. For more information, go to GencoFCU.org.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice, subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
They're people I trust. They treat me like family. My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is the Sikkim 365 Baylor pregame show, live from the Big 12 Championship. Are you a Sikkim 365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Back at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, both teams down now on the field behind us. And there's no question that there's a flavor, a huge flavor of orange with Oklahoma State. Baylor fans, of course, here as well. Both schools sold their allotments. Blake Shapen will start today at quarterback. That's not surprising. He started last week. He played in the game against Kansas State and played pretty well. That's not a surprise. Does that change your mind in any way? Craig, you even brought it up. We'll start with you. No matter who the quarterback is, your thoughts about this game today?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Blake Shapen. Dave Aranda's confirmed that on College game day. So, young man's making his second start ever, and it's a Big 12 title game against the best defense the Big 12's seen in quite some time. So just go out there and let her rip. Go out there and play. Just be smart with the football. And I'm not expecting him to go and win this game by himself, and he doesn't need to feel like he needs to win this game by himself. He just needs to protect the ball, make the big throws when he can, and just do his job. I mean, I think that's what he's got to do, and I don't think there's any big difference outside of like 8 games worth of experience between him and Gary Bohannon. I mean, that's it, really. Gary's played a bit more, but he hasn't been like a 2-year starter either. So I look at that as maybe not being as big of a deal, but there is a little bit of a lack in experience. There is. I mean, he's played sparingly until last week, so that makes you wonder a little bit. But it doesn't change my outlook on the game, because I don't think Gary was just so clearly above and beyond anything that we've ever seen that it's like, oh God, without him, the offense. I don't think it's like that, really. So
it's not like RG3 going down, although Nick Florence came in.
Bryce Petty or Seth Russell, like when they didn't have Jarrett Stidham ready to go, quite frankly. You know what I mean? So, it's not like that.
No, I'm supremely confident in Blake Shapen's ability to run the offense to the level that they need to win this game. Look, I think if one of these teams gets to 27 points, they're probably going to win. I don't think this is going to be in the 30s. I think 27 would be kind of lofty. I picked it 23-20 Baylor, and I just have a feeling Dave Aranda, given the second time around with you, I'm very curious. He's a scientist.
What does he do differently? What do they do subtly or tweak? Or what do they throw something kitchen sink?
Yeah, and I would think that all those things, that there's going to be some minutia of something that he really kind of got into, of this is why this didn't work out. And he was very forthcoming about one of the reasons they didn't win. It was most of the coaching staff's first time in Stillwater, and they didn't do well with the noise. So can they deal with what's going to be a largely Oklahoma State crowd today? I mean, Baylor's done well selling their tickets and their allotment and all that. But again, Oklahoma State's a bigger school. There's more people, and so there's going to be a lot of orange in this crowd. Can they overcome that?
And for Oklahoma State fans, it's been a while since they've been actually in the game. They, of course, back in the early part of the decades of the 2000s, they've been a part of the conversation, but it's been a while for them, and so they are lathered up, you could tell. Blake Shapen, he's very confident. Sometimes that's to a point where I mentioned he wants to throw a football through a keyhole. That's his strength, and that also can be a weakness. At the other, he's much more athletic than sometimes people realize. He had a zone read late in the game that I want to keep going back to against Texas Tech. Just a couple of plays after he got, basically I thought he was dead in the hit that he took right there, the clean hit, the violent hit, but clean hit on the sideline. He's not afraid to come out. When Bohannon went down against Kansas State, what did they do? Immediately he threw a pass. Threw a 7-yard pass as well, a completion to Ben Sims. He's not afraid of the moment. Now, everybody's human as well. I don't think him starting is something that you have to oh my God. And they handled it perfectly. Everyone pretty much knew the result we'd get to today, that Shapen would start because Gary Bohannon went down, and you could slamming his fist on the ground at Kansas State. He knew his hamstring was not good at all. And those are injuries that could take it's almost like a turf toe. It can take a long, long time to get through it. You can hear the background. Some of you on the chat haven't been able to dialogue with you as much today because we're facing the cameras. Appreciate everybody. Some have asked about, are we the secondary show? Who does the play-by-play? We are our own entity. We're proud of what we do, and we're proud that you're a part of what we do. And we are excited to be here today to watch what could be a great atmosphere in college football.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited for all the games today. I'm excited to find out who the head coaches at Miami and Oklahoma are going to be, probably tomorrow or Monday. Miami's got some interesting stuff going on. I can't wait to talk about that on the full show. But we'll have the post game right after. From this spot, it's right here.
This is actually the replay booth, which is always such a controversial booth. The replay booth will be right in front of us down here, but we'll have to leave and go cover the game.
So when you see the Big 12, probably midway through the first quarter, do a replay for a 2nd and 3 to make sure that it's not 2nd and 3.5, this is where it'll happen.
Hey, Armstrong, you're on mic. Can you want to give us something real quick? I know we haven't been able to do that. I don't know if you have a chance to plug yourself in. All right, we'll do the 3 predictions. Armstrong, Jack, and Hayden, I want to hear from you quickly before we go off the air. Thanks to everybody that jumped on board with us. You heard the sponsors off the top. Some new. Thank you for being a part of what we do with whatever we do, with all the numerous parts of what we do with our programming. Go.
All right, I got Baylor 23-20. I think something weird happens, special team, something that gives them that slight edge, but this one's going down to zeros before we really feel confident on what's going to happen.
Greg Smoke?
I'm taking Oklahoma State 24-20 in that area. I just think the Cowboys are a little bit better. I think Spencer Sanders is a bit better and even if Gary was playing, I'd say that. I just think he's more dynamic than what Baylor has there. Defense is just a little bit better. Just everything's a little, in a lot of ways, a little bit better. So I'm going Oklahoma State in a close one.
I think it's hard to beat somebody pretty good twice. It doesn't mean it's never happened before. And the game was in Stillwater, and this is almost like Stillwater Light with all the crowd that you're going to see in orange. I said 22-20 Baylor, and I have no idea how they get there. And that's not me saying I want Baylor to win. That's just me having a feeling about it. And, Paul, you brought it up. Dave Aranda, round 2 was somebody. That doesn't mean Jim Knowles won't dial something up himself to take what was a screwdriver defense back in Stillwater in October and turn it into like some mashing machine. They are so impressive. I'm just happy of the 2 teams that are here after what was a hellacious start to the summer. Armstrong.
My prediction?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I think Baylor's going to win by a touchdown. I think Oklahoma State is going to come out and not realize the new Baylor, because Baylor is a different team than when they lost Oklahoma State, and that was also a bad game for that Baylor at the time.
Is Jack on headset? Can he
Jack
give
is
it?
not.
Okay, all right. Jack, sign language to whatever it is. Armstrong, what do you have? Go ahead and call it out. I mean, Hayden, your thoughts. 24-21 Baylor, and Jack picked Baylor as well. 27-24 Baylor. And hey, I picked Baylor to lose at home to Iowa State. I picked him to lose at Oklahoma State. I picked him to lose to Oklahoma. So
I don't know if that means a damn thing or not.
And also, I just want to say shout out to AT&T Stadium. For some reason, I can't imagine why, streaming a show from AT&T Stadium is easier than streaming it from high school football booths.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why.
Thanks to Joni Lehman. Also thanks to, as well, Bob Berta for setting this up with Bob Bowlsby, and thanks for his time as well. We'll have a cut-in with Brian Etheridge at halftime. We'll have Paul and Brian in the post-game. Craig and we'll all be in the post-game. We'll send everything out on our Twitter feeds. It'll be up on the site. Let's see. Grayson's here. Colt is here. Ashley's here. Brian's here. I mentioned that. Travis Reeder's here. His first coverage of a game under Sikkim 365 Radio. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to you. God bless. Back on the show Monday at 3. And who knows? With college football, you never know. Good afternoon or good morning from AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Go have a great day watching college football.